Rhys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, look, everyone I've told that I'm going to be doing this has just assumed that we know each other.
No, I can confirm I've never met this man in my life, although he does look vaguely familiar. A guy I used to farm with.
Oh, really? Whereabouts was that?
Ekatahuna.
Oh, Ekatahuna. How is Ekatahuna?
She's good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah, she's doing well. Still taking the pills.
Still Twin City with Pai Kokoriki?
Yes. Yep. They're both on the coffee table book you can get now.
Aren't you from Auckland, though?
Yeah. The rest of my family were I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and the other 3... sorry, that doesn't add up. The other 4... Math's not a strong point. The others were sort of brought up more down in Palmerston North area. So they were sort of brought up more in a more rural setting. Right. The farm, you know, that sort of hoo-ha, sheepdogs. And then 9 years later, when I popped out, in the big city.
Oh, okay.
So I've always been a bit jealous that I haven't had that kind of rural life. I've always been, you know, lived in a metropolis.
What about the others in the family? Are they in the business?
No, I'm the only... I mean, you know, that's not to say that there isn't dramatical talent there.
Right.
My mother, of course, done a few acting jigs for the Country Women's Institute.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you know, it's in our blood.
Well, tell me about you. You were one of these people who, like me, did a few backyard productions.
Yes.
When you were a kid. Had a tape recorder, is
yes,
that right?
That's right, yeah.
Wasn't that a great day, getting the tape recorder?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. You know, you get the tape recorder, and the following Christmas, of course, you get the tape.
That's right. I was just dreaming about the tape for years.
Counting down for the tape, you know, and then finally you get it, and it's a tape that's already got music on it.
Oh,
and then you work out you can put a bit of sellotape or sticky tape over those bits, and then you can just tape over it. And the first time you tape over an album, you feel a bit guilty. You have a last listen to it, you know, you go, oh, let's listen to Bon Jovi, New Jersey, one last time. And then, right, you're gone, and you put your tape on and put it in, push play and record at the same time, and then your voice goes in.
Wow.
Hello? Testing? Oh, what? Oh. And then just stop, you know, too nervous to go any further.
Just play that back to the family.
Rewind, play that back, and there it is, comes out. Hello? Oh, what? Oh, no! And then, and that's the first time I discovered how wonderful my voice was.
Right.
But putting the tape recorder aside, I'd go outside onto the back lawn, and I'd do one-man plays.
Wow.
Where I'd play sometimes up to 3 characters.
Simultaneously?
Yeah.
And what sort of audience were you attracting?
And that was the first time I had an audience. It would have been Mum and Nana.
Good reviews?
Not from Nana. Who generally should be like, oh, I don't know what you're doing. How many people are you being? Just be yourself.
And of course, that's what you've eventually managed to do, is be yourself. Because what I want to congratulate you on is, I don't know if you've considered this, but I think more than anyone, perhaps even in history, you have brought the New Zealand accent to the world. Have you ever stopped to think about that?
Not really. A little bit I have, and then I thought, what am I doing? I can't have that bold statement in my head that, you know, that. But then I have for a second thought, hang on, how many Kiwis are there out there in big international films or whatever?
That's right.
That are maintaining that voice of New Zealand. So perhaps you're right.
I mean, I'm not someone who ever really feels patriotic to be from New Zealand, but when you're watching a Jim Carrey film, and there's someone there doing the voice, it's a great moment.
That was the moment, and a lot of people have said to me, including my wife, that when they watch that film, it looks like someone's inserted me into it. You know, like I'm not supposed to be there. No. And by the trickery of CGI or something, or a new, a fun thing you can get down by the wharf if you go in front of a blue screen and they give you a copy of it later. Oh, you're in a Jim Carrey film, there you go. Oh, look at that, Mum.
But it's amazing to me. I mean, you know, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, the idea that a New Zealand comedian would even perform in Australia was unlikely.
Right.
The idea that they would go to Edinburgh for 10 years and have a show on HBO and be in a Jim Carrey film was just, insane. I mean, not that there weren't people who had the talent to do that. It's just that nobody really had the ambition to do that in New Zealand.
And I guess have the balls to do it, have the confidence to, and the blinkers to put on and just say, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Because I guess we come from a place where that's not the way of life. We're on the back foot, and we're not so much shy. We are sort of confident people, but we don't like to boast, and we don't like to stick our heads out. No. And we just try and achieve in our own area and don't skite about it.
Skiting, there's a word I haven't heard.
Yeah, skite.
For 25 years.
Well, there you go. I mean, Skype is popular now, of course, but back in our day, it was skiting.
Skiting was all the go. Big noting yourself. But I was intrigued about how you became involved in Flight of the Conchords. And, of course, I first probably heard your voice on the radio series, the BBC radio series. I think you had a different name. You were...
Yes, I was Brian Nisbet.
What was it?
Yeah, right, I came up with that one. Yeah.
Hey, no skiting. But why did he morph into Murray?
They came up with this new name, Murray and Hewitt, putting two famous All Blacks together and right. making it as Kiwi as they could. And I like to say that Murray is Brian's cousin.
Right, of course.
You know, so there you go.
But I remember reading that you offered the Conchords 4 or 5 different voices. And in the end, they went with... Thank God they went with your own voice.
They went with voice number 4, which was my own one. And I tried to hide it in the in the group to say I was hoping they were going to go with voice number 2.
What was that one?
Very, very deep. Oh, hello, young lads.
Almost like Santa.
Right.
But they didn't go for it.
Would that have caught on? I'm not sure.
I think because I was so new to acting back then, I thought it was you change your voice for various things, you know, and it was they said in the end, no, just go with your one. I think that'll be fine. And the worry, of course, was in the radio show. There was very, very few visuals, and
of course.
And so people would imagine what Brian must have looked like, and whether he was older. And we pictured him as a lot older than the other two. So then when it came about that we were going to make the TV show, I thought, I'm not going to get the part here. I look the same age as them, if not younger, and you know. Well, maybe not, but anyway. So when I got the part, there I am now. People are seeing me visually, and it still worked. So it was almost funnier that I was the same age as them.
Yeah,
you know. And of course the goatee made me look maybe a little bit older. And of course, and then there was the joke was played again later when I believe it was Murray's birthday, and they thought I was 52 or so, 42, and I remember I was only 32. I can't remember now, but it was played up again.
But thank God that it all came together. I mean, it's a couple of years ago now, but it feels to me already like a classic show.
Yeah.
It must be great to have that one on the shelf.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like saved game.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what I do now, that's always there. It's our kind of faulty towers, if you like, that we can have forever.
I mean, over here, obviously, people like to comment on the portrayal of Australians in Flight of the Conchords.
Yes.
It's not really a positive view of Australia.
No, not positive at all.
No.
But I think in the same way that if they made a show, they'd do the exact same thing to us in front of the Americans and have a good laugh. So, and I was quite surprised there wasn't any more sort of negative attitude toward it, but instead of I think the Australians overall had a very good laugh and really enjoyed the show and enjoyed being part of it.
Yeah.
And being mocked in that way.
But I mean, I always say to people who mention that, I go, but hang on, have a look at the portrayal of New Zealand.
Yes, exactly.
In Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, it's not bright. It's not bright, is it?
No.
It's not wonderful.
I think my favourite, it was a 2-parter where the New Zealand Prime Minister came to New York, and I think one of the reasons he was going to New York was to get a copy of The Matrix on VHS because it hadn't come out in New Zealand yet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There didn't seem like there was a lot of resistance to all the New Zealand stuff there.
Absolutely. I mean, this comes down to the wonderful HBO letting the guys do what they wanted to do. Yeah. What a wonderful channel. And then with me, when we had the script. The script was always, a very strong blueprint, so we could always go off it, and as we often did, and the band meetings were very much improvised, and they always said to me, and the director, who was usually James, said, just if you've got any Kiwi terms you want to say, just say them, you know, because that's who the character, that's where he's from, and it's all novelty for the audience. They'll love it. They don't want any American stuff in there, and that's what they've got Arj for. You know, he's the American, he's the one that they're supposed to be able to understand.
And I think you even brought over New Zealand directors and writers and things for that.
Yeah, we did. They had some of their friends, the Sakis. I think directed some. Of course, Taika directed quite a few. At one moment, one of the fondest memories is where it was during a Taika episode where we sort of came to a standstill. We're doing a scene, and we huddled around. It was Taika, Brett, Jermaine, and me, and around there was there was all the Americans with all their cameras and the crew and everything, all just waiting. And there was this little small bunch of 4 Kiwi guys sort of going, okay, what should we do in this scene? I don't know. I don't like what's on the script. It's crap. Okay, let's make something up. Okay, you say that, and I'll go from there. And no one could hear what we're saying, and you could look back and you could see all the Americans. What are they doing? Come on, we're on time here. What are they? And it was just one of those moments where I thought, oh my God, we've got the world in the palm of our hands, and we don't even know what we're doing. The jokes. How are we getting away with this?
Fantastic stuff. But look, I want to go back again to the early days. Did you start out doing theatre restaurant work?
Yeah, you've heard about me there.
Yeah, it's all on the internet.
Word travels. I mean, I was never up on the stage there. I was always just serving people, so I didn't have to perform much at all myself. But pinnacle for me, because that's where I met Grant Lobbin, who was a chef at the time working there. He was in the kitchen, always desperately dreamt that he'd be out as one of the character waiters.
Wow.
And we got together talking after one of the shows, and we got together, we decided to create a comedy duo, and that was the first time we... he was Grant, I'm Rhys. We called each other the duo Recently Granted.
Right.
And he had a bass guitar. I had a few ideas for some songs. And we got together and started writing not just songs but some sketches, and that was the start of it for me.
And what sort of comedy scene was there?
In Christchurch, nothing
at all.
Really at all. I mean, and we were amongst the first. I was at university at the time, and there was a comedy club, as in a collective of people at university that would get together once a week and write sketches for the annual capping review, and that was it. So we ended up going into town, taking our sketches into town, and as I'm sure you've told me you've done in the past when you're a lot younger, go into some pubs and some bars and say, hey, look, can we tell some jokes for a free beer? And all right. And they'd never even heard of it, really. And the gall of these guys, these young students, what do you want? If you want a free beer, mate, do some cleaning up. No, we've got jokes. And so we'd get up there. I don't even know if we had a microphone in those early days. And but recently Grant had got up. He had his bass guitar, and he only knew 2 chords, which is basically the Blues Brothers do 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 do. And I thought, that's genius. I hadn't heard that before. So he played that, and I just started singing jandals, do 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 jandals, do 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 jandals, and it became a big hit. Amongst myself and the small collective of group of friends.
Thongs, that's jandals.
Yeah, of course, over
People
here.
wondering.
No idea what jandals are. That's all very well, Rhys, but what are jandals? Look it up.
But you, as a solo act, when did the Rhys Darby act begin?
We did Recently Granted for a couple of years. We did 2 comedy festivals, and it got to the point where I'd finished my degree in Christchurch. I wanted to move up to the Big Smoke in Auckland, which of course I was from, and Grant just couldn't afford it, so that was the end of the duo. I think he shacked up with a solo mum at the time, and he was in love there. And so I said, all right, well, I'm heading for the highlights. It's your last chance. He said, no, Christchurch is for me. And so I went to Auckland, and in 1999, I did my first show, which was called Let's Get Physical.
Right.
And a bit of a play on the Olivia Newton-John song, and my physical comedy.
Just come out at that time in
New Zealand.
Sorry, but you were very quick to turn up in Edinburgh. I remember you were pretty much in Edinburgh every year for the noughties.
Yeah. I went over there for the first time, I think 2000, and then returned in 2001. And vowed at that point to just come every year because it was just fantastic. For me, it was only the first time I'd felt like I was really home, because I was a bit lost. I was in the army for a while.
Yep.
Then I was in university. I didn't know what I was doing. I was making people laugh, but I didn't know whether that was going to be my true vocation. Was there any money in that? And you always hear insecurities with art, and what should I be doing? Maybe I should have been a zookeeper. So when I got over there, all of a sudden, all of these artists are here. They're all entertaining, making people laugh. People are. I really felt at home. So that was an important move for me.
How long were you in the army for?
3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, straight from school.
Wow.
So in when I was 17, regular force cadets.
Right.
I was in the last intake of the regular force cadets. They squashed the program after me.
Right. That was it.
Yep. But I think it cost $1 million New Zealand dollars to train me on all the various weapons.
Wow, it's paid off.
Yep.
And do you retain any skills from your army days?
Yes, I can fold my socks into tight little balls.
Right.
And when you look at them, it looks like they've got a mouth, a smiling mouth.
Wow, that $1 million really paid off.
Well, that's just one of the many skills. I mean, Morse code.
Morse code?
Yep.
Can you tell a joke on Morse code?
Oh, I can, but it loses the sense of timing.
Yeah, sure.
This is the amount of audience that don't know it as well. You've got to hand out the codes, read. Okay, get those all read first, so you know your da-das, your da-da-dits. It's coming at you now. I'm going to start off slowly. We'll go with 10 words per minute to start with. It's just a simple joke, a knock-knock one. At the end, just laugh all at once if you could at the end once you've got it. It'd be like bingo. No,
but any army people in the audience, killing themselves.
Yeah, but unfortunately, no sense of humour with those soldiers. Waste of time.
Edinburgh, I think I read somewhere that you were taking New Zealand culture to Edinburgh. Were you stopping the show to hand out ginger nuts at one point?
That's right.
How did that go down?
Brilliant. That was my first solo show I did over there. The Flight of the Conchords were over there at that time as well. And we were the only Kiwi acts that were performing that year. I think it might have been 2001. So we were helping each other out. None of us had any money. I helped out with their flyering, did a bit of photocopying for them, and Brett did my lighting. So he was my technician. Yeah, because I couldn't afford the tech that came with the venue. So he'd be up there and he'd do the lights, and then at half time of the show he'd go out and hand out biscuits to the crowd. And he would ask, this was all part of the plan, he'd ask various crowd members what their favourite bit was so far and what are they hoping for in the second half. And I'd be listening, behind in the wings. Oh, yeah. And then I'd come out in the second half and I'd do a bit that the guy might have mentioned he wanted, and everyone left happy. Well, the 6 or 7 people that came. But yeah, that's fond memories of back then,
Wow, and then to go from that to being on a set with Jim Carrey. Tell me about your first day acting in a Hollywood film. I mean, what was that like?
Well, it was daunting. It was I was very nervous, but the only thing I could concentrate on was just doing my job, making people laugh, making the scene work, and I just had to block everything else around me. The moment you pull out from the zone you're in and you see all of these cameras that are looking at you and the people that are staring, waiting for the magic to happen, which sometimes does happen, you have to go, oh, what am I doing,
Right.
And you shrink into this little guy that wishes he was, on his back lawn again with his tape recorder.
Right. Well, I think you pretty much stole that movie.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
There was a lot of
no doubt about it.
But there was bungee jumping and there was stunts, but I just remember your character claiming that he invented the phrase shit can.
Oh, yeah.
That was what stood out to me. I have to ask about a film you're in, The Boat That Rocks.
Yeah, I was lucky to get that role, and even luckier to maintain the accent.
Yeah.
And I was sure that Richard Curtis was going to tell me, you've got to be British for this.
Right.
I mean, come on. But there was quite a few Australasians on these boats, so I represented this side of the world.
And you were the sort of the comedy.
Yeah, very loosely based also on a sort of a Kenny Everett kind of character.
Kenny Everett, you old enough to remember Kenny Everett?
Oh, absolutely. This one.
That's him.
Of course. What a genius.
That was huge in New Zealand. Captain Kremen.
Yeah.
And I have to say, in the boat that rocked, towards the end of the movie, the boat is sinking. I worried about saying that because I worried that I was going to give away the end of the film for people who have seen it.
Yeah.
But then I had a look at this. Look at this. This is the poster. This is on the front of the DVD for the boat that rocked.
Yep.
They rocked, they rolled, then they sank.
So it's on there.
That's what they've put on there.
Oh, no, I didn't even realise that.
It's like saying they fought, they swam, then they blew up the shark with a tank of compressed air and a spear gun.
I guess by that they might be meaning that the radio station went under.
It's on a boat though, so I mean I think if you see they sank.
Yeah, I suppose so. You could look at it that way. Yeah, the most obvious way to look at it.
I think that's poorly thought through. See?
I think the movie did well. Let's move on, eh?
Because I was watching on the deleted scenes. There's a quite a violent scene where you nearly drown.
Yes.
It must be furious going through all that, and then it's just on the deleted scenes.
Oh, really? I thought it's in the main movie as well. I think, isn't it?
Have you not seen this version?
Is that the Australian version? Is it?
No.
Oh, the Aussie edit.
I'm afraid you're near drowning.
They've cut out the Australasian character drowning in this Australian version here. But let me tell you, he nearly does drown.
Tell me about the radio. Have you been working on a radio show called, I don't even know if I can say the name of it. I'll have a go. Cryptozoology?
Yes,
that's
you? Right. Yep.
What's that about?
You haven't heard of cryptozoology?
No, I'm afraid. Should I Google it?
Well, you should. It's the study of hidden animals.
Right.
Or animals that have not yet been classified by science.
For example?
Bigfoot, Yeti, Loch Ness Monster, that sort of thing. The Yowie, that's an Australian one.
How many of those are real?
They're all real. You ask all the eyewitnesses.
Yeah?
Yeah, and there's hundreds of them. And so they see these creatures and they don't know what they're seeing. I mean, it's a bit like ufology, except we're not talking about something from outer space here. Right. These are tangible beasts that are on this planet.
What about the Loch Ness Monster? Is that...
Well, that's one of the ones I really think is no more. It may have been something at some point, but of course that lies in the realm of a singularity creature, which, of course, if there's only one, it's hardly going to survive that many years,
But for 60 years, there was that photo that was clearly it was just that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just someone's arm.
No, I believe
doing that. And I mean, the waves, because you're going...
You're thinking of that bloke with the emu. Rod, wasn't it?
Rod Hull.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his existence was confirmed. but no, it was just clearly and that was the mainstay of the proof.
No, there was plenty of other...
Was there others?
There was other photos.
A more convincing one than that?
That was one of the better ones.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of the... I mean, I've been there, I've looked for Nessie, I've been out on the loch, and people still there will swear there's something out there. And you've seen the satellite photo that came out maybe last year. They look down, it's a satellite image of the loch, and there's a dark patch in the shape of a plesiosaur. Swear to God, Google that.
It
certainly wasn't that.
It wasn't just that?
No.
Plesiosaur.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a fun subject. It's a bit of fun.
Well, you've interviewed yourself on a tape recorder.
Yeah.
You've attempted to spot a plesiosaur from space. Yeah. What next?
Succeeded in that, I think.
What ambitions?
My biggest goal, I guess, once I've got my my own TV show, which I've created, right. I've come up with an idea, I've made a pilot. We're going to pitch it in the States very soon, and once that happens, brilliant. That'll be my mainstay. I love television. I love. It's a comedy, of course. Yep. It's an action-adventure comedy series because I like Indiana Jones and Alan Quatermain and the King Solomon's Mines, all that sort of thing. I thought, imagine if you could watch a comedy series that had that sort of action in it, where they go around the world and they go on adventures every week. And so I've created that. So if that comes out, then I'll rest until my next goal, which is Mars. I want to, and this, you may laugh, but I'm used to it. I want to be on the first ship to Mars, the first passenger ship, and I want it to be a large ship, a bit like a cruise ship, something a bit like, you know, Battlestar Galactica.
Yep, sure.
Where you got your own cabin. And I'm going to be entertaining on that ship, and I want to be the essentially on a cruise ship entertainer, which is now a bit low level, you know, and here on Earth.
But not to Mars.
But not if you're heading to Mars.
No, it's all.
And it's a 6-month journey, so you'd need to come up with a lot of material.
A lot of material.
Yeah. I'll play some of my movies, a few clips, and do a bit of Q&A, and then I'll come up with some different characters. And
then you'd need, obviously, you'd have to develop new material for the 6 months.
The return journey, yeah. Now, I haven't thought it through fully, but that's years ahead now. We're talking 5-6 years away for that.
Well, all the best of luck with all that. Thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.